President Trump says he will be very angry if health reform doesn't get done. Majority Leader Mitch McConnell is putting a lot of pressure on Senate Republicans at least allow legislation to move forward. Let's bring in Fox News contributor Byron with the Washington Examiner. Okay, we got details of this health plan earlier this morning that's going to come out at about 11 o'clock, I think it is. And already there's a lot of conservative opposition to it. Looks like it's not going to go very far. What say you?
Well, I think we've heard Rand Paul, for example, one of the conservative opponents, say, well, basically what it does is it reinstates a couple of the taxes that we wanted to repeal and then doesn't change a whole lot else. I think the big question is going to be how many conservatives this Ted Cruz amendment manages to attract. Obviously, Ted Cruz himself and Mike Lee, but does it get many others? And are there any of these moderates who could be convinced unless the plan makes some change to the idea of essentially moving Medicaid to the states?
Yeah, look, all this weedy stuff, let's get rid of that for a second. When push comes to shove, at the very last minute, maybe at the end of August, can you really see the Republican Party saying, no, nothing, we're not going to do anything, we're going to beat this back? Really?
That's a great question, and look what happened in the House. They thought they had a deal, then they had to pull it back, and then they had to get some other plans and some other amendments, and finally there was this one last amendment from Fred Upton that allowed a few last people to get on board, and they finally passed it. We're not there yet in the Senate, but I think we could be traveling the same road. So Mitch McConnell right now is just struggling to get it onto the floor. They could fail. They could fail again, and then they could finally come around with something. But this is something that's so big and so important to the Republican Party's reputation in the sense that we all know they've been promising this for 7 years, that they have to find a way to do it. This right now might not be the way to do it, but look what happens in a couple of weeks, 3 weeks, a little longer. Okay,
we'll be watching for sure. Now, the broadcast news shows gave 54% of their airtime last night to coverage of Donald Trump Jr. Russia, Russia, Russia. It's endless. I think this is going over the heads of most people. I think people are really fed up with it. What say you?
Well, certainly a lot of the news organizations are deeply in the weeds. This is kind of the scandal that ate cable television in some ways. But I agree with you about the voters' concern. I think that they're, as always, more concerned about what the president might be doing to improve their quality of life, which is why, by the way, the president himself should spend more time talking about his agenda, talking about tax cuts, talking about repealing ObamaCare, talking about border security, talking about all the things that got him elected.
Okay, we got it. Byron, thanks very much for joining us this Thursday morning. We appreciate it. Thanks, Byron.
Thank you, Stuart.
Yes, sir.